Guys, welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to see about the elbow joint. Topics what we are going to cover in this video are type of joint, articular surfaces, ligaments, relations, blood supply, nerve supply and movements of the elbow joint. So first coming to the type of the elbow joint. So see this elbow joint, this is a hinge variety of synovial joint. See, this is a hinge variety of a synovial joint. You might have seen the hinges in the doors, which aids in the opening and closing of the doors. So this elbow joint, it is a hinge variety of synovial joint. So this elbow joint, it is between the lower end of the humerus and the upper end of ulna and radius bone. And that's what the elbow joint is, a complex joint involving humero-ulnar joint as well as humero-radial joint. Coming to the next topic, that is the articular surfaces that are involved in the elbow joint. So this could be classified into two, namely the upper articular surface and the lower articular surface. The upper articular surface is nothing but the parts of the humerus taking part in the elbow joint, and the lower articular surfaces includes the parts of the radius and ulna taking part in the elbow joint. Right. Let us first see about the upper articular surfaces. So in a humerus, mainly the trochlea and the capitulum. These two portions, they form the upper articular surfaces of the elbow joint, and just above the trochlea here you could see a fossa. This fossa is called as the coronoid fossa. So during extreme flexion, the coronoid process, here you can see the coronoid process of the ulna. So this coronoid process fits into the coronoid fossa. Same as like that, here you could see the radial fossa. So during extreme flexion, the radial head, this is the radial head, this radial head, it fits into the radial fossa. So this is all about the upper articular surface of the elbow joint. Now coming to the lower articular surfaces, which involves the parts of radius and ulna. So in order to expose the articular surfaces of the radius and ulna, I'm just hiding the humerus. So here you could see the lower articular surfaces of the elbow joint. So this upper surface of the head of the radius, it articulates with the capitulum of the humerus bone. So upper surface of head of radius. Then here you could see the trochlear notch of the ulna. So this is the trochlear notch of the ulna, which articulates with the trochlea of the humerus. So once again I am repeating the lower articular surfaces. So this upper surface of the head of the radius, this articulates with the capitulum of the humerus, and this trochlear notch, it articulates with the trochlea of the humerus. Once again, if I get back the humerus, you will clearly know that. See here you can see how it fits into the upper surface of the head of the radius and also the trochlear notch and also to the trochlear notch. Here you could see that the capitulum, this is the capitulum of the humerus, it fits into the upper surface of the head of the radius, and here you can see the trochlea, which fits into the trochlear notch of the ulna. Coming to the next topic, that is the ligaments of the elbow joint. First coming to the fibrous capsule of the elbow joint. See, this is the fibrous capsule of the elbow joint. So superiorly it is attached to the humerus in such a way that, see the radial fossa, beneath that, the radial fossa, the coronoid fossa, the capitulum, the trochlea, everything remains in such a way that it is intracapsular, right? That is, those all structures lies within the capsule. Now I am going to hide the joint capsule so that you could see all the structures those I mentioned. See, you can see here the radial fossa, the coronoid fossa, the capitulum and the trochlea. So all these structures lies within the capsule. So the joint capsule is attached to the lower end of the humerus, somewhere here. It is attached to the lower end of the humerus so that all these structures are intracapsular. So now coming to the inferior attachment of the joint capsule, that is the fibrous capsule of the elbow joint. So as you see, inframedially it is attached to the trochlear notch on the ulna, somewhere here, trochlear notch on the ulna, but except laterally. Here you can see it is not attached to the trochlear notch. So once I hide, you could see the inferior attachments also very clearly. See? So inferiorly it is attached to the trochlear notch but not laterally. Laterally, infralaterally it is attached to the annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint. See, this is the annular ligament. See, this is the annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint. So laterally it is infralaterally or laterally it is attached to the annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint, and inframedially it is attached to the trochlear notch of the ulna. So once again I'm hiding the fibrous capsule so that it will be more clear for you. So see, inframedially it is attached to the trochlear notch on the ulna. Laterally and infralaterally it is attached to the annular ligaments of the superior radioulnar joint. Annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint. Coming to the next ligament, that is the ulnar collateral ligament. So here you could see the two parts of the ulnar collateral ligament. So see, this ulnar collateral ligament is roughly triangular in shape. I'll show the parts one by one. See, this is the anterior part of the ulnar collateral ligament, and here you could see the posterior part of the ulnar collateral ligament, and this is the oblique or transverse part of the ulnar collateral ligament. So the apex of the ulnar collateral ligament, it is attached to the humerus, that is to the medial epicondyle. This is the medial epicondyle of the humerus. So the apex of the ulnar collateral ligament, it is attached to the medial epicondyle of the humerus, and the base, it is attached to the ulna. The base of the ulnar collateral ligament, it is attached to the ulna. And see, as I already said, this ulnar collateral ligament, it has anterior part and also the posterior part. And this anterior part, it is attached to the coronoid process of the ulna. And the posterior part, this posterior band, it is attached to the olecranon process. So this posterior band, it is attached to the olecranon process, and this anterior band, it is attached to the coronoid process. So then the lower ends of these two bands, that is the anterior band as well as the posterior band, the lower end, they are joined together by an oblique band. That is the another part of the ulnar collateral ligament. So the lower ends of the anterior part of the ulnar collateral ligament and the posterior part of the ulnar collateral ligament, it is joined by an oblique band of the ulnar collateral ligament. So actually this ulnar collateral ligament, this entire ulnar collateral ligament, both anterior, posterior as well as the oblique band, this only gives rise to the flexor digitorum superficialis muscle. However, this ligament, ulnar collateral ligament, it is closely related to the flexor carpi ulnaris as well as to the triceps brachii. Coming to the next ligament, that is the radial collateral ligament or lateral ligament. You can see here, this is the radial collateral ligament. So these ligaments are fan-shaped ligaments extending till the annular ligament of the superior radioulnar joint. So these two are the radial collateral ligaments. And this is the anterior part of the radial collateral ligament, and this is the posterior part, both extending till the annular ligament. So this radial collateral ligament, they also give rise to two muscles, namely the supinator muscle and the extensor carpi radialis brevis muscle. Radial collateral ligament, they also give rise to two muscles, namely the supinator muscle as well as the extensor carpi radialis brevis. Now coming to the next topic, that is the relations of the elbow joint. So anteriorly you could see the tendon of the biceps brachii. So anteriorly the elbow joint is related to the tendon of biceps brachii, then to the brachialis muscle, then to the median nerve, so if I isolate the median nerve, it would be much more clear. So see how it is related to the elbow joint. And also the elbow joint is anteriorly related to the brachial artery. You can see here the brachial artery. Then coming to the posterior relations of the elbow joint. So posteriorly it is related to the triceps brachii muscle and also to the anconeus. So see here, this is the anconeus and this is the triceps brachii muscle. So medially it is related to the ulnar nerve mainly. See, ulnar nerve and flexor carpi ulnaris muscle and also the common flexors like the flexor digitorum superficialis. And so medially it is mainly related to the ulnar nerve. Here you could see the ulnar nerve. So medially it is related to the ulnar nerve and also to the flexor carpi ulnaris muscle and also to the common flexors like flexor digitorum superficialis. So laterally it is related to the supinator muscle. You can clearly see here. Of course, you might have come across the supinator muscle in the floor of the cubital fossa, that it forms the floor of the cubital fossa, right? So lateral relation, one of the main lateral relations of the elbow joint is the supinator muscle and also the extensor carpi radialis brevis muscle. That is the extensor carpi radialis brevis, as I already mentioned. It takes its origin from the radial collateral ligaments, right? So extensor carpi radialis brevis and also other common extensors. Coming to the next topic, that is the blood supply of the elbow joint. It derives it from the anastomosis around the elbow joint. Actually, this was discussed in the previous video on the anastomosis around the elbow joint. If you want to watch the video, please to check the description box for the link. Then coming to the nerve supply. So the nerves which supply the elbow joint are the ulnar nerve through its branches to the elbow joint and also the median nerve. Here you could see the median nerve. See, this is the median nerve. It also through its branches to the elbow joint supplies the elbow joint. Then the musculocutaneous nerve through its branches. I'm gonna hide the biceps brachii in order to trace the musculocutaneous nerve. So see this one, this is the musculocutaneous nerve. So this musculocutaneous nerve also through its branches to the elbow joint supplies the elbow joint and then the radial nerve. See, radial nerve, it lies still deep to the brachialis muscle. So I am going to hide that also. Here you could see the radial nerve. So this one. So see, this is the radial nerve. It also through its branches supplies the elbow joint. So nerve supply of the elbow joint, again I am repeating. It is supplied by the ulnar nerve, median nerve, musculocutaneous nerve and also the radial nerve. Coming to the next topic, that is the movements of the elbow joint. So it mainly performs two movements. One is the flexion and other is the extension. So flexion, it is brought out by the flexor muscle and extension, it is brought out by the extensor muscles. So the flexors which causes flexion at the elbow joint are the brachialis muscle, then the biceps brachii, then the brachioradialis. Then coming to the extension, it is brought out by the triceps brachii muscles that is triceps brachii in the sense the long medial and lateral head, then and also by the anconias. You may think that these flexor group of muscles they get origin from the upper arm, right? Upper part of the arm. Then how do they bring about the movement at the elbow joint? It is because the point of insertion matters. All these muscles they cross the elbow joint. So it's a common thing. If the muscles cross a particular joint, they bring about movement at that joint, right? The same matters for the extension also, extension of the elbow joint also. Coming to the next topic, that is the clinical anatomy. I'm just gonna mention only one clinical anatomy regarding the elbow joint. So see, actually the normal carrying angle of the elbow joint is 13 degree. You might know that, you might have read that. So if it increases more than 13 degree, it is called as the cubitus valgus. Cubitus valgus. And if the carrying angle is less than 13 degree, then it is called as cubitus varus. So in cubitus valgus, the ulnar nerve, here you could see the ulnar nerve. Cubitus valgus is a condition in which the carrying angle is increased, right? So in cubitus valgus, if the angle is increased, this leads to the overstretching of the ulnar nerve. So this nerve may be stretched more at the elbow joint. So what happens? The ulnar nerve supplying the intrinsic muscles of the hand, they get damaged, right? So the ulnar nerve, you know that the branches of the ulnar nerve, they supply the intrinsic muscles of the hand. If they get damaged, then the intrinsic muscles gets weakened.